this is tremendous. This is my first time here. It's so cool seeing all the old jerseys, seeing all the history here. This is a great little thing you guys got going here, and just really pleased that I was invited to be a part of it. So thank you for having me. Man, the jerseys are just insane. I can see why you guys are into this. It's some of the old jerseys and the names. It's tremendous.
Yeah, so John came with his white Stanley Cup Finals jersey the night the Canadians won, and he didn't know this, but the red one, Robert Butler of Alabama owns the red one. So it's great that there's Robert. Robert, thank you for bringing it so we could display it. John, your 87 Flyer shirt, 97. Not as fond a memory. That was you guys lost the finals, but nevertheless, and your World Cup jersey from the U.S. World Cup. So the great thing about the hobby, as we all know, is that it connects the moments to the shirts, and bringing in people in someone like you makes it great. So let's start from go back to '93. You're an American-born guy playing for the Canadians. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I was well aware of the last Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup, watching Edmonton play this year. It's something. Winning a cup is awesome, but to be part of the last team to win a cup in Canada so far, it's been years. It seems odd, but it's something we're still hanging on to, that '93 Cup. So,
were you rooting for Florida or Edmonton?
Honestly, it was tough because I just kind of watching, but still have that. We still got one thing going for that '93 team. But regardless, going back to '93, we had a so-so season. We started off the playoffs. We lost the first two games at home to Quebec, and then we just went on a roll. And a big part of that was Patrick Ball. After the first two games, we went back to the Patricks from Quebec City, and we went to Quebec down 2-0. And something clicked in Patrick, which kind of does in great goaltenders like that. And he just wasn't letting any goals in. I think we won 4 straight from Quebec that year. Then we went on and won 4 straight again against Buffalo, and then we won the first 3 against the Islanders, or maybe the first 2. We won like 10 in a row. That whole playoff streak, we ended up winning 11 games in overtime. So, to have a backstop like that and Patrick Ball behind you, and then we had tremendous character players as Guy Carbonneau, Mike Keynes. We had talent with like Vinny Danfus and Kirk Muller. Names, but not your huge names back in the league at the time. But we played as a team. We just played as a team and as a unit, and with Patrick behind us, it was a great run.
So you're a Vermont native, and obviously Vermont is very close to Montreal. I assume you're really happy playing for the Canadians. What was it like when you were dealt to the Flyers?
Well, first off, I grew up a Bruins fan. Even though I lived close to the border, Vermont's still kind of a New England town, and Boston was very influential in our town, and I grew up a Bruins fan. So as a kid, it was tough watching Montreal win all those cups, being a Bruins fan. But once you get drafted, everything changed. Being a part of that history and knowing so much of, I grew up watching Hockey Night in Canada every Saturday night, so I knew a little bit about the history, and to be a part of that and to play in the Montreal Forum as your home rink when you break into the league was a big thrill for me.
And going to Philly, what was it?
When I got traded to Philly, it was a shock. I mean, I was still a young kid. When you get traded, you're disappointed. Montreal was an hour from my home. I won a Stanley Cup there. I just was starting to feel comfortable a little bit in the league, and it was a little bit of a shock. Came to Philly, knew a little bit about it because my sister lived in Philly for a few years, and I was excited. Once we got here, once we got involved in the team and saw how well they took you in as a family, the Flyer family, and it was a comfortable spot. They made it comfortable right away. And then obviously having a chance to play with, the best player in the league at the time, and a great white winger, Meigray Expo, it was awesome. When I got traded, Jacques called me, it was 9 in the morning. He's like, I want to see you in my office. So I'm like, okay, Jacques, we just got back from a back-to-back on the road, so we got in late. And I'm like, what is it? Because Jacques never calls me to come in and have a chat of what's going on and stuff. So when he called, I'm like, Jacques, what is it? Can we talk about it on the phone? He's like, all right, you've been traded. Serge Savard's going to call you. And he didn't tell me where. I'm like, Jacques, where did you get traded to? And he's like talking so fast. He's like, oh, you're going to Philadelphia. So I got the call, and then Clarkie called me right after. And Clarkie's like, you know, I was playing left wing and center at the time for Montreal, so I asked him, who do you think I'm going to play with? You know, you see me playing center or left wing. And he's like, well, I see you playing with Eric right at the beginning. So I was like, sounds good.
That changed your mind a little about the trade?
It did. It took a lot of that pain out of the call from the trade, for sure.
Okay, so talk to us now about, and we've had some, luckily a room like this, we've had, Mike Bossie's been a specialist, we've had some really great players, and those of us here like to, so what's it like knowing you're a budding superstar, you're playing with the best player in the league, and you're starting to be dominant in the league? What was it like being part of the Legion of Doom in that era?
It was somewhat, it wasn't like I felt I was a superstar and stuff like that. You know, playing with Eric, I mean, like I said, at that time, in those years, there was nobody more dominant in the game than Eric. And, you know, the feeling we got going into every game, the three of us, was just that it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when we're gonna score kind of thing. We had that kind of confidence going in. And it's a tremendous thing. Confidence is a tremendous thing in sports. I don't know a great player that doesn't have it. And playing with those two guys gave me so much confidence, because I wasn't the player in Montreal that I was in Philadelphia, for sure. And I owe a lot of that to Michael and Eric.
Two finals, 95 and 97. Disappointment that despite your dominance, you never won a cup. Knowing that what it takes to win a cup in 93, what was it like that 5-year era when it doesn't happen, even though you've got one of the dominant teams in the league?
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm so fortunate I had a chance to win a cup. There's a tremendous amount of players out there that never had that opportunity. You know, it's one of the best feelings in sports. But the teams that we had in Philadelphia, it's very disappointing. It's something that kind of eats at me still, is that we didn't ever win a cup down in Philadelphia. There's 3 years that we had teams that I felt were Stanley Cup caliber that we should have probably won the cup, and we came up short. So it's disappointing because we did have so many good years there, but we won a lot of games. But in the end, it's still a little bit of a hole that's not filled, not having a chance to have that parade down Broad Street.
So one last question on that era, because a lot of Devils fans, the Devils obviously came of age in 95. They had to get past you in the semis, which was the year after they lost to the Rangers. That was just the transition here in the metropolitan area. What do you remember about the semifinal series in 95 against the Devils?
It was a good series. I felt we were getting the upper hand a little bit, and then we had an issue in Game 5. We were tied late in the game, and Claude Lemieux took a shot from us, just inside the blue line, outside the blue line, and it caught Hexie off guard, and it went in. Felt like we were in control. It was starting to move a little bit.
The jersey.
From that? Wonderful.
See what I mean? These are passionate guys.
But like I said, it felt we had the upper hand, and then when that went, things changed. Devils were a great team during that whole era. I mean, you know, the players they had, the way they played, smart, good team, and it was a battle every time you played them. It just, you know, we were on the short end of a lot of those series.
I remember most of you know that I was a sports writer at the time. I was talking to John just before he came out here about the Rangers, the transition, because the Rangers had won the year before. And in the book I wrote about the Cup in the year after, Messier knew during the series and said to me during the series when the Rangers were going up against the Legion of Doom that they couldn't deal with them. I remember Messier saying to me after Game 2 of the first round series, I know we can't win this series. And what the Devils had, what the Rangers lacked, was a Scott Stevens, which is a kind of player you needed to match up your physical and speed dominance. And that's when the game started to transition a little away from the clutching and grabbing into the speed and strength, which is what your line had.
Yeah, and it started. I mean, obviously, Stevens was a great player back there, and his physical play, obviously, was something that could match the three of us. You know, another big key, too, was Niedermeyer.
The speed.
Niedermeyer's control of the puck, his skating ability, it was a problem not just for us, for everybody else in the league.
Sure.
But the Devils, like I said, they were deep. You know, between Fauski, Danico, Niedermeyer, and Stevens back there, and then up front they had scoring and they had size to check. Like I said, they're well coached. you know, they're still the second best team in our division, but they were good.
So take us to today, and now as you're back in the organization, talk to us a little bit about the Flyers and what's happened in the last 12 to 16 months as the new management is trying to bring it back to the days of yesteryear, but with an emphasis on today's importance in today's game. Where are the Flyers today?
Yeah, and I think when we talk about bringing it back, it's bringing it back to the winning culture, and that's what we're talking about. You know, we had a pretty good stretch there in the 90s and early 2000s where it was a winning culture. You know, the not hoping to win but expecting to win kind of attitude. And I think with Danny and Josie at the helm and helping me in charge, you know, we're heading in the right direction. We had a good year last year. We might have overachieved a little bit from where we're going, but we had a real good year. Torts got the guys playing great. I think Torts has been great for the young guys that we're bringing in here, teach them how to play the right way. And it's a building process. And I think you can tell by, you know, the draft, we were willing to wait on Mitchkoff. We were able to get him 2 years earlier than we expected, which is nice. And he'll have a good year this year. Will he be Connor McDavid? I don't think so. I mean, he's coming in, it's gonna be a little bit of a culture shock. It's gonna be a growing year for the kid. I think that's what we want the Flyer fans to understand, that we're growing. Everybody's gotta grow at their own pace. And Mitchkoff's a tremendous talent, and he probably will grow faster than others, but there's still gonna be a growing period. And we still have other young guys that we're developing that are coming through that are growing. And the beauty with our team, I think we're the second youngest team in the league. And we have a lot of talent there. It's only gonna get better. So as an organization, we feel great. We feel we're heading in the right direction. And I think the Flyer fans understand what we're doing and are on board with what's going on now.
I just want to ask one more question, then we'll open it up to questions. So you talk about building a culture where you're not just hoping to win, you know you win. But in many cases, that's a chicken and egg. You got to have the talent, because you could fool yourself and say we're going to win every night, but not be realistic. As now part of management, as part of an organization building that, how do you build that? Is it the acquisition of talent first, of kids and young players who understand what you're trying to do, or do you put the culture in first and hope the talent matches the culture?
Well, I think we have some talent. I think there's talent there. I think obviously the talent can always be improved. And we're trying to do that through the draft. And now with salary cap era, you have to develop players through the draft. And then also, if you look at the Flyer situation too, we're gonna get a lot of salary cap relief in the next 2 years. And between building our own players, developing our own players, and then adding pieces as we get to a more competitive, more closer area of the goals, you know, the Stanley Cup, I think it's gonna be real important to have that flexibility. So we feel good about where we are. We have a stockpile of draft picks next year. We're gonna get, like I said, cap relief, and our younger players continue to get better. So between developing our players and then hopefully free agency at the right time and the right player, we're hoping that the rebuild can, you know, as quick as possible.
Questions for John?
The Vermont jersey.
There you go.
Yeah.
From your senior year.
Who, you got Marty's on, is it?
I think it's Ricker.
26, Marty.
Marty's in the week?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good.
So,
No names on the back? Vermont did not?
no, back then, no.
No, I don't think so.
So, with the jerseys, you wore number 9 at UVM.
Yep,
You go to the Canadians, obviously you can't wear 9 because of the Rockets, so you go to 17.
yep,
You go to Philly, Brind'Amour's wearing 17, so you go to 10.
yep.
Interested in what made you select those numbers?
All trainer issued.
Really? Wow.
You weren't a rock the boat guy, I gotta have this number, I want this number?
They came up with a decent number. I mean, if he came up with something like 67 or something back then, I probably would, no, looks like a training camp number. But I was pretty much good with anything. I enjoyed the numbers I got. Like I said, growing up, I wore 7, and then when I went to Vermont, 9, felt good. And then,
And no reason,
It was
no
all happen
heroes,
chance.
heroes of yours growing up? 7 and 9?
yeah, no, just kind of
That's what
like
you
the
got.
number kind of thing, exactly. And then in Montreal, there wasn't even a thought of questioning it. I'll take it.
Oh, yeah. You get what you get.
So that was good. And then when I went to Pittsburgh, they gave me 10, and I said, you know, that's Ronnie Francis' number. I think, you know, I can grab another number if you want. And the trainer was like, no, Ronnie's fine with it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was at Game 5 when you won the Cup in '93 in Montreal, and I recall when I left the arena, it took me about 4 hours to get back to my hotel because the town erupted into this big riot. I'm just curious, how did that affect your celebration that night? Did you guys have any trouble getting back to your hotel or anything like that? Just curious.
We did. I actually, it was nice. Our families got to hang out with us for a while, and then my parents were a little bit older at the time, so I got a police officer actually was able to walk them across to the parking garage. You remember the mall across the street? There was the parking garage there. And he got them in the car and got them going. So it was nice. We had people that could handle the families, but we stayed in the rink until almost 3, 4 in the morning. And right away they told us what was going on outside. So they're like, "You got to stay here. You guys can't leave. You got to stick around." And I mean, we were having fun. It didn't matter where we were. We were together. We were having a great
The
time.
next day was like nothing ever happened. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was too bad that it got, but they were excited. I mean, it's a passionate fan base in Montreal for sure.
Quick question, I mean, you played on all 3 historic teams, especially Montreal. Did you ever get to meet some of the old Canadian players during your time there? Like some of the great players?
I did. Jean Leclair would walk around quite a bit.
Okay.
And what a man! The guy had an aura about him.
Oh, yeah.
Just a tremendous guy. Something that you just don't forget when you're a player. Somebody like John Leclair walks in and just asks you how you're doing.
Yeah, he was a great one. But they had so many greats. I was just curious if you had a chance to meet some of these.
And they had others. Montreal was really good about the alumni.
Okay.
Being around.
Sure.
And same thing with Philly. A lot of the Broad Street Bully guys were around. Saw those guys all the time. Then obviously Clark, you saw every day. But
Bob, you knew Clark, obviously Bobby Clark and all that. So Rick Bickley and.
yeah, those guys, they're around quite a bit.
Oh, that's
and,
great.
The Flyer alumni, Brad Marsh is handling the Flyer alumni now, and they do a tremendous job trying to, get as many guys together from every year, and
Right.
it doesn't matter 30 years apart or whatever. And, it's good. Those guys come around a lot, which means a lot to everybody.
No, it's good.
Does it mean a lot, does it help the current players, does it help build that, whatever it is in the room, when the alumni are there supporting?
You have to ask them, but I mean, I know for me, whenever I saw a foreign player, it just, you understood what it takes to kind of, it's a feeling you get that it's like, I want to be like these guys one day, be able to just have that walk that I won a cup, I won here, part of a winning organization.
And literally, your room was the pass the torch, so.
And that's, in Montreal, it was like that, yeah, it really was. And it meant a lot as a player, seeing the older guys, that they still care, they still hope that you do well. It's not a jealous thing, they want you to do well.
A big thing, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, a big thing in the league now, because so many teams, and a number of teams that haven't won in a lot of years, Rangers, the 1940 to 94, Toronto, 67, still an ongoing thing. Edmonton hadn't won. The Flyers haven't won the Cup since 75. Is the organization, is there a feeling that you either have to take it head on and accept the responsibility, and is that part of, I know it's not your immediate goal next year, but starting to build that, is that desire for the Cup, because the Cup has become, and we have the keeper of the Cup here, Phil?
Yeah.
They may have gone out, but we're talking about the Cup, so you may have seen it once or twice. So the Cup has gotten so much greater law as we realize how tough it is to win. So that feeling has got to be important.
And that's something you got to build. You can't just get that overnight. It's going to take some time to build that. But that's the goal. It's not about making the playoffs. It's not about having a winning record. It's about winning the Stanley Cup. And that's what the goal is for the Flyers. I think we got some ways to go. We got to get in the playoffs first. We haven't done that for a while. And there's steps we need to take. But the goal is the Stanley Cup. And that's never going to be, we're never going to lose track of that. Because, what we expect to be and where we're going to be, just making the playoffs is not going to be good. You want to win.
Ryan?
One comment, one question. I was at Game 3 in 1993 in LA when you scored that goal. You broke everybody's
first of all, the Montreal Forum was a cathedral. I mean, every time you walked in the building, it just, I don't know, something different about the way they painted the seats, the lights, whatever it was, but it was always pristine, and it was truly a tremendous building to play in and to watch a game. And I think everybody misses it. You can't replicate the feeling you got walking into those buildings. I understand now times have changed, you need all the boxes, you need the white concourse and things like that. But I think the buildings today still do a good job. They still get loud, they still get that feel. The fans aren't on top of you like they were in the original 6 old buildings. But it's still a good atmosphere, it's still a good feel in these buildings today.
Two quick questions. One is, I'm guessing Lindros and Renberg were your favorites to play with, but was there anyone else for line mates? And the second question is, can you talk about your day with the Cup and what you did?
Sure. Well, first of all, we had some pretty good success. After they traded Rennie, I'm trying to think of the year, but it was after the Cup. In '98, they traded Rennie to Tampa for Chris Graff. And we ended up getting Jonesy, came down from Colorado, and he played with Eric and I for a while. And we had some success. That was one of the few guys that they plugged into our line that really clicked. So, you know, Jonesy had a bad knee, but he got around there good enough, and you know, he was a real good lineman, and we had some chemistry, the three of us, to that. Some other good linemen. When we won the Cup, I played with Ryan Bells and Kirk Muller. That was a fun line. As a young kid, being able to break the top 6 and play with 2 veterans like that, they were good linemen. So when I had the Cup, what I did is I was running a foundation golf tournament and a foundation for the state of Vermont. So when I got it the first night, we had like a reception for all our big donors and people, friends of the foundation. So we did that for like 2 hours, and then I had a private party with my buddies and something like that night. And then the next morning at our hockey rink, the local hockey rink in St. Albans, we had an open house. So anybody that wanted to come in and take a picture with the Cup, get an autograph. We ended up having like 10,000 people come. So we had a good day with the Cup. The foundation made some money. My friends and family were more than happy. So it's a cool tradition. It really is a cool tradition.
Did you pour maple syrup in it? With the pasta going in this year, did you ever
Yeah.
get any maple syrup in the Cup?
I don't know if anybody did. My friends threw a lot of different things in it, but I don't know. Sure.
Did anybody specifically tip off Jacques, or was everybody pretty much aware of McSorley's stick?
Everybody knew. I mean, back then guys knew who had an illegal stick.
Mhm.
It wasn't a big secret. I know these conspiracy theories that we looked at their stick rack in the morning, skate and all this other crap. It's all crap. Everybody knew. I mean, Vinny Gamfus played with an illegal curve, but he had a stick in the rack with an X on it. And last 5 minutes of a tight game, you know, he went and pulled the trainers to grab the stick with the X.
Well, isn't that the real story? McSorley forgot to switch.
Maybe he forgot to switch, but guys did that all the time. They'd switch in the last 5 minutes, so that wouldn't happen. It turned out to be very.
Pretty amazing moment.
It was.
Costly ever.
Yeah.
John, you usually ran over guys during your career, but do you think that, particularly the defenseman or even forward, you just said, I'm not looking forward to playing this next position. When it comes to line.
Yeah, but it wasn't the physical part. Like, that part wasn't, like, I'd take my chances playing the physical game against most defensemen. It was guys like Lindstrom and Niedermeyer and those guys, they wouldn't engage with you, they had a good stick. Like, when we got into the finals against Detroit in '97, they didn't put Constantine up against us, they put Lindstrom and Murphy against us. And that was because those guys' body position, skated well, great stick. They never engaged, we never got into a physical match with them. It was all about skating, stick position, and Lindstrom and Murphy, 2 Hall of Famers, one of the best sticks out there, so we had some issues with it.
What motivated you to take a role position with the Flyers, and how was it seeing your former teammates in either head coaching positions or management positions after, you know, so many years? And did that influence you to decide to take a role position with the Flyers?
I don't know if it influenced me, but I mean, first of all, seeing like guys I played with, head coaches, general managers, presidents of clubs. I think it's awesome. You know, all those guys you're talking about are really smart guys, really smart hockey guys. It's great that they're in the game and making decisions about the game. So, you know, I'm pretty happy about those guys' success. As far as me getting back into the game, I took some time off when I got done playing, spent some time with my family. My family's grown now, they're out of the house, I have some more time on my hands, and it felt like a great thing to do. To be able to chance to get back in the game. I love the game, so it's, to have a chance to be back involved in it is it's a tremendous opportunity for me.
Seeing an American and Jeremy Roenick get into the Hall of Fame this year, and looking at your stats and Eric Lindros' stats, it seems to me that you have a really good case to be in the Hall of Fame, especially with your playoff performance. And as somebody who rooted against the Flyers, I'd love to see you get into the Hall of Fame, and I wish you the best of luck with that.
I appreciate that.
Do you think about it? Is it impossible not to?
I don't think about it anymore. I think, you know, I can see the argument on both sides of it. I really can. I get it. You know, I don't have the milestones for 500 or 1,000 points or 1,000 games. But it's great to see JR get it. JR had a tremendous career. It was a Hall of Fame career. I'm not sure it took so long. But yeah, I was really happy for JR. It was awesome to do.
See a number of your jerseys from around your career, your college, international, stuff like that. What have you hung?
I've hung on to that one I have, the one we won the cup in.
It's not the sale, Andrew.
And then I have a jersey from the teams I played for. I have my Olympic jersey. I have my other World Cup jersey. I have a World Cup jersey from when I won. And then I took a Flyers jersey from every year. I scored 50 at the end of the season. And then I think I have a jersey from every year. At the end, I know I have a jersey from every year in Montreal, just because they give us a jersey at the end of the year, and I cap it as a rookie jersey. So yeah, I have quite a few jerseys.
You have a Vermont?
I have my Vermont jersey.
You do?
Yeah, and I actually have my high school jersey.
Really?
Yeah. A friend of mine was coaching the high school team, and they were buying me jerseys. He's like, hey, I don't know if you want this, but we're changing over jerseys, so.
So now you realize what you just done. You can have 100 people calling you every year now. You ready to sell? You ready to sell?
Not right now. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Going back to Jeremy Roenick, what's your craziest story that you can legally tell?
JR? I don't know. You limited me there. Yeah, JR is just the life of the party. Like, if he's in a room, you know he's there. He's never quiet about anything he does, which makes him fun. And JR's a lot of fun to be around. Great heart on him, always means well. And like I said, he was a tremendous player. I'm not sure why it took so long for him to get the call.
What was the difference between playing and winning in the World Cup versus playing and winning in the Stanley Cup?
That's a good question. I mean, the Stanley Cup, you know, it's a year-long thing. The tradition behind the Stanley Cup, obviously, you know, to put your name into the history like that, I think everybody kind of realized that a little bit. But our World Cup team in '96, it was a different feel. When we got together for training camp in Providence, the group just came together right away. That group's still tight today. Like, our U.S. team's really tight, and then you understand playing for your country and the importance of it. It's up there.
And did you feel like it was insurmountable when you lost the first game in Philadelphia and had to go back up to Montreal for the last two to win?
No, I mean, it wasn't the best situation, obviously, we knew that, but it wasn't, we didn't feel it was over by any means. And that's part of the group we had. We were a tight group, super talented, we really believed in ourselves, and I mean, Ricky was playing lights out. We knew we had everything we needed, we just had to go out there and do it. And that World Cup victory it's close to the Stanley Cup, very close in mind.
Was that the most like intense hockey that you've ever played, do you think?
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, that 2 weeks that we had there, there was some pretty tough hockey. It was awesome though. I mean, every game meant so much, and it was a lot of fun. Obviously, it's fun when you win. I think that's what made it so much fun, but it was a great experience.
Thank you.
Sure.
What was the difference in your experience between the World Cup hockey and the Olympic Games 2 years later?
Well,
Had a lot of the same
yeah,
goal.
we had the same team pretty much. It was the same kind of teams you were playing against. I think the Olympic ice did make an issue, did have an effect on some of us. We didn't perform well either, and it's just, that's the bottom line. I don't know if it was the travel going all the way over to Japan, what it was, but those are all just excuses. The bottom line is we didn't play as well as we should have, and we didn't medal. But I do think the rink mattered a little bit, because when we came back to Salt Lake, we were in the gold medal games, and it's, again, the same kind of tournament.
Did you collect other players' jerseys while you were playing, or sticks or anything?
I did. I collected sticks. So when I was playing for a good 7 or 8 years, I grabbed a stick, come sign it, and collected it. So I don't even know the number, but I got a pretty good collection of those sticks.
Would you trade your sticks for like on the ice, get your stick after the game?
Yeah, it was kind of done between the trainers. I tell the trainer, hey, can you ask, Forsberg if he'd sign a stick for him? And sometimes they'd be like, sure, but he wants one back. And I have guys just ask me for sticks. It wasn't a big deal. The jersey's a good idea, though. I wish I would have done the jersey instead of the stick.
Save your jerseys, your kids will treasure them.
We'll see.
Yeah, reflecting back on the seasons you played in the league, knowing that we know now about the results of each of the seasons, were there any teams where you thought, I would have liked to play on that team, or I had a chance to play with that team, or if I joined them, maybe they would have been successful?
No, I mean, because I was always happy where I was. There was never a time when I wanted to be like, I wish I was playing for Boston instead of Montreal or something like that. No. Now after you're done playing, you see some of these teams, like, yeah, it'd be fun to be on the other side with Drysdale and David.
Yeah.
No, I was fully invested in the team I was playing for. I never, I wished it was us raising the cup every year, but I don't wish it was with any other guys.
Yeah, you did run into a buzzsaw, the Red Wings of that era with all the talent, the international talent they had there.
Yeah.
That would have been a fun team to play with.
Yeah, and they were a good team. And they beat us in '97. They were a solid team, top to bottom, from goaltender out. And, it proved kind of what kind of guys they repeated that year. They were a good team for a long time. They were a good team coming up before that. Just wrong place, wrong time.
Surprised nobody asked yet. We only have time for a couple more. And then John's going to stay around, be happy to sign autographs as we usually do. But a lot of times we talk about, especially when older players are our guests, how do you feel now, working now for today's NHL, in the way the game has changed? The rules, the post-lockout, the Shanahan rule. Many of us think the game is so much more exciting and better because skill, no clutching and grabbing anymore, and that it's a better game today. What's your view about the game when you were playing in today?
I mean, it is a different game, for sure. And for sure, these guys are much more talented, faster. It is a better game. I enjoy the game much better. I mean, the stuff these guys can do at full speed out there, it's just amazing. I've never seen anything like what Dave can do on the ice. It's incredible. The only thing I do miss is hockey was a little bit, you had to earn your spot. You had to earn your space out there a little bit. And, some of the slashing, some of the body contact stuff is just, playing hard. And I get it. There's big things at stake here. You've got to look out for the players and stuff first. But I think they went a little bit too far as some of the protection stuff on everything. But like I said, I get it. The game's better for it. The game is a tremendous game right now, and it's just going to keep going forward.
Last questions? Okay, a couple more. Go ahead.
Best player and best goal you've ever played or played against?
The best goalie, by far, is Patrick Law. I don't think there's ever a guy in a big game situation that you'd want in the net more than him. the guy always raises to the occasion. Never seen a competitor like Patrick. He really is a true competitor. Was not happy to see him take the job with the Islanders. I kind of know how competitive he is, and he's going to do a good job there. So, and then for me, I mean, you know, I had a chance to play against Lemieux, Gretzky's, and Messier's, all those guys, but I played with Eric in his prime, so I'm kind of biased to that. And Eric in his prime was dominant, just dominant, I guess.
All right, John, thank you very much. Clear the chairs, and if you have your autograph ticket, come on up. John will be signing autographs the next half hour. We have a hard stop at 1 o'clock, so thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, John.
Yes. Thank you.